So here it is, one side is complete. So rather than using a pneumatic staple gun and staples, I held all of this in with upholstery tacks. They're little upholstery tacks. Okay, so I've got all the pieces cut already and I've got them kind of tucked in and in place. I did this last night because I didn't have any upholstery tacks. I had to send Beast to get upholstery tacks this morning, so he went and picked these up for me. And in the meantime, I went ahead and got my pieces cut and tucked in and kind of where they needed to be. So I'll show you all these cuts, the way this works for a wing chair. I'm not really sure how I feel about this deconstructed upholstery business. I think it is interesting to be able to see the inside of the chair, and I think it's kind of a conversation piece, but I still don't know if I really like it. And it doesn't really matter because I'm probably going to end up selling this chair. I got this chair at the Habitat for Humanity. It was sitting next to the dumpster, and I said to the guy, "What's up with that chair?" And he said, "It's yours. It's free if you want it." I'm trying to think of why. Oh, well, it didn't have a cushion, and the top of it looked like it had been sitting out in the rain for maybe who knows. It had gotten wet because the top back of the chair was all black and mildewy. Of course, I stripped all that off. We're putting on new fabric and new foam up there, so it's fine. The other thing is it's missing this stretcher bar that goes from one side to the other. It doesn't even make a difference, and I can put a new one in. All it is I think it's like a 3/8 dowel. So as far as investment, I really don't have any money into it except for all my time to do this silly project, which it probably would have been faster had I just done regular upholstery on it. But with these little tacks, it's taking a little bit longer. My husband loves it. Loves it. He loves the way that the tacks look and the open sides and back. To each his own. So anyway, let's get started. I'll show you how. So with any upholstery, you always start with the insides. So the first thing I did was I attached the deck. Because I am not a professional and I don't do this every day, I did not do a separate deck fabric and face fabric. I just went ahead and used all the same fabric on my whole deck. Most upholsterers will cut and seam two different fabrics here, a less expensive fabric for here, and then the face fabric for here. I did not do that. This fabric is heavyweight linen, and it is not cheap, but it's not arms and legs, and I went ahead and did the whole deck. So you sew it down right here, and I actually sewed it down all the way through. I went down and out the bottom and up and out the bottom because that gave me the tightest stitch. You can use a curved needle and just go here, but I find if you go all the way through, it gives you the best, tightest fit. And then of course bring it down to the front, staple underneath, put a relief cut right here to accommodate the arms, staple on the outside. Actually, I haven't done that yet. No, I did that. Okay, and then the side piece. All right, so we're going to bring this fabric around the front and staple it here because there is a arm panel, a front arm panel like this. So we're just going to bring this around and we'll staple it here. But to get all the way out to the front here, and I'm going to have to probably give that relief cut a little bit deeper in there, and make smooth this part right here, we have to put a relief cut here. So you just cut straight into it so that this piece will come around and this piece will still tuck under. So I'll tuck that back in. And then this piece will come around. I'm going to have to cut that a little bit deeper because it's not flattening out right there. Okay, now this piece I can pull and drag down in between here and here, in between the deck and the arm. You can pull and drag that down. And I'll drag that in, and that gets it nice and close in there. Just a little bit more and tighten that up. This way we can bring it around and staple here. This still needs to be cut a little bit deeper because you can see that the grain of my fabric is kind of going like this and then up and over, and we don't want that. We want to keep the grain of the fabric all straight, which means I need to put this relief cut a little bit deeper. And I'm going to cut it towards the back a little bit. Okay, so I got to come around to the inside and see if I like the way that's looking. So this part I'll cut off, and then this will all staple over the arm. And then that arm panel will go across this whole thing. Everything looks nice and smooth here, and the grain is still all running straight, so I can go ahead and start stapling. Let me show you how this is done up here. You want to do the inside arm before you do the inside wing. Let me show you how this works. So you have to put a relief cut here. So as you can see, this and this was a big rectangle. So I've already cut this off, but I don't know if you can tell, but this was all one big square piece of fabric, and I put my relief cut in here in order to be able to get around this wing part here. And that gets folded, and then this part gets tucked through. And then we'll staple this part in the back of the chair here. And then the inside arm, get that foam smoothed back out, the dacron on top. Okay, and the way the inside arm works is you fold bottom of the inside arm up underneath that dacron. And then once this is stapled around the back on the outside and this is stapled out here, we can pull this nice and tight, and you'll see we'll be able to get that nice and tight. Spit and tacks. This is what the upholsterers used to do. They would keep a pile of tacks in their mouth, in their cheeks, and around here, and then I'm going to trim off some of this front in order to be able to staple this around. Oh, do I have enough there? Just enough. Okay, so I haven't stapled the back yet. I've stapled along the bottom. So I've stapled along the bottom of the arm here, and I stapled along here. Okay, now I'm going to cut away a little bit of this. We'll have a panel here. So, hey, hi, honey. Now I'll go around to the back. This is the inside back, or this is the inside arm. This is the inside wing. I trimmed that off, and I'm gonna flip this and fold it. All right, now I'm gonna nail it right there. Okay, and since this part is gonna be covered by this part, I'm gonna go ahead and just use my staple gun to fasten the inside arm up here until about here, and then I'll do nails down that way. I have a super sore finger. I broke this nail really short, and it hurts so much. So it's making this really difficult. Tomorrow should be better, but this is painful. Okay, now I think I'll go ahead and fasten the inside wing. I'll go around the front and make sure I'm all straight before I start fastening that. This part. The inside arm goes up there. This piece here is going to get tucked up underneath that padding. This all looks a little bit lumpy here, but yeah, it does need to be pulled back. That's what's the problem. So all of the stuffing had gotten kind of pulled out. So I'm going to push this all back. There we go. Now it should be a little smoother. Okay, so I know I've got plenty, that's much better. I've got plenty to go around. So I'm going to go back around, fasten the inside arm back here, and then I'll work my way around the front and fasten all this. Okay, so here's the inside wing, and I'm going to start down here, and I'm just going to fold it over and fasten right there. Okay, so this part up here, I'm going to fold that down and then nail right up in there. This might be a little tight, but we can do it. I'm onto the outside wing. And what I did is I took my staple gun and I just did a temporary staple up here to hold this in place. And then I did a temporary staple down here. And the way that you do that is you hold your staple gun kind of at an angle like this so that your staple doesn't go in flat and all the way in. One of the legs of the staple stays up out of the piece so that you can just grab it with the pliers and pull it out when you're done. This one went in a little bit far, but this one is nice and easy to pull back out when I'm ready. So this one I can take out. Okay. Alright, there we go. Now continue up this side. And always as you're working, you want to just make sure that, you know, the grain of your fabric is still running nice and straight when you're stretching your fabric and pulling, so that you're not getting your fabric looking like this when you're working on your piece. One thing's for sure, the fabric, when it gets fastened on nice and tight, it definitely stabilizes the piece of furniture a lot. You'd be surprised. Alright, so here's the chair on a rainy afternoon, and it is complete. So clearly this is not a comprehensive tutorial on how to do this. It was just pretty much inspiration with a little bit of direction. But anyway, it's fun. I think it's kind of interesting. So tell me in the comments below what you think. Do you like deconstructed upholstery, or do you think it's just kind of weird?